Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I went out to my a friend of mine's land, and they did. I didn't do it, but they were deer hunting out there, and they had a lake and a fire. So I went out there and hung out last night, so that's why I've been out of pocket today. I don't go, and usually I work every day, and that's kind of my hobby. And so I don't do that kind of stuff often, but every once in a while I like to go sit in front of a fire. And so I was sitting in front of actually it's called a solo stove. I got a solo stove from Santa Claus for Christmas myself. And the solo stove is like a fire pit, but it's stainless steel, and it's designed for airflow so that you don't deal with a lot of smoke. And I got one for Christmas, and then I was sitting in front of somebody else's this morning in front of a fire having my coffee looking out at the lake. So it was kind of a good morning, but I missed a lot of stuff. And so I am back, and I'm ready to go through a few things with you. I wanted to point out something. Many of you weren't around. This was it happened on July 22nd, 2019. Brad Garlinghouse was on Bloomberg, and there had just been discovered that Bank of America had filed a patent that had, he says he can neither confirm nor kill, but it was about a patent that Bank of America had filed that had Ripple on the patent.
There have been reports that Bank of America has taken out a patent that suggests it's using the Ripple ledger for its currency transactions. Can you comment on that?
I saw that.
Can you confirm or kill the speculation?
I can neither confirm nor kill. Look, we are, I think, widely known to be working with a lot of banks around the world, and certainly some of the largest banks already in the world are customers of ours today. And we'll continue to work with big banks around the world. And I too was surprised by that patent application, because we have not announced anything.
All right, well. Okay,
the reason I wanted to show you that is to make a point. That was being talked about while Ripple went under, Chris Larsen was under this tolling agreement with the SEC from April 1st of 2019. So while this was on July 22nd of 2019. So Bank of America was filing a patent with Ripple on the patent. And you have to ask yourself, does Bank of America do due diligence? I would be pretty sure that Bank of America does a lot of due diligence before they do anything like this. And so you got to ask yourself the question, why would Bank of America be willing to file this patent and be working with Ripple like this, with this going on behind the scenes? You have to wonder that. Okay, this was an interesting thread from Lee XRP. Let me make sure I follow this person. Okay. It says, XRP, interesting thread, please retweet. Mr. Fresh Time, 2014-2016 FinCEN investigation ended with a settlement that directly caused the government, the growing retail and enterprise community from continuing to use the XRPL DEX, Ripple Wallet, and Ripple Trade. I remember this because I had my XRP on Ripple Trade at this time. FinCEN forced Ripple to survey the entire XRPL and report any suspicious activity, even though they had no control to stop a decentralized public network, all because they didn't properly comply with anti-terrorist and KYC AML for the XRP sales and transfers to Roger Ver, who was a shareholder of Ripple. 2 years FinCEN investigated with investigators who had barely any knowledge of his DLT and crypto networks operated, resulted in small fine and settlement. But what is rarely discussed is harsh negative effects on the community and XRPL gateways. FinCEN crushed 3 of Ripple's products after settlement: Ripple Wallet, Ripple Trade, Gateway, Support for Business. The community was growing at the time, using non-custodial products from Ripple that allowed anyone to use XRPL, Ripple Trade app, Ripple Wallet. I believe FinCEN required Ripple and all gateways to complete full KYC AML of all users of Ripple's non-custodial wallet and app Ripple Trade. FinCEN single-handedly killed utility on XRPL and required Ripple to monitor the XRPL with tracking and surveying tools. This was right before Ethereum gained global adoption. If you read the forums from back then, the community was devastated as gateways dissolved and Ripple backed off development of any on-ledger apps or wallet services or support for gateways. That impact stalled the ability for XRP community participation to dissipate, and in effect, there was minimal utility as Ripple pivoted time. That's when Ripple pivoted institutionalization of RippleNet and away from building on XRPL. And it goes on and on and on, but they give you a really good layout of how this same type of thing that's going on now went on back then with FinCEN. Okay, now I want to bring something important to you. Leonidas had tweeted this out. Coinbase XRP lawsuit confirmed. And now, as I show you this, I want to show you why none of this makes any, the summary of why none of this makes any sense. Okay. New one count California federal court lawsuit alleges Coinbase violated state unfair competition laws by selling XRP, alleged to be an unregistered security and taking commissions from the sale. Okay. There's the lawsuit. Now, this is what I summarized yesterday. Let's see if I have this straight. Ripple was allowed to openly sell XRP while working with regulators for 8 years. And after the FinCEN, after FinCEN came after Ripple and declared XRP a virtual currency in 2015. So Ripple had this. They knew this. Okay. So why would they be concerned about the SEC at that point? There was a judgment. The whole thing was resolved. For 8 years, the SEC stared at this. Then exchanges are then given the blessing to list XRP and sell to retail. SEC then sues Ripple and opens the exchanges up to lawsuits. You think mom will buy it? This is one of my favorite lines out of the original movie Vacation, where Chevy Chase has just been caught by the whole hotel in the pool with Christy Brinkley, and he's trying to tell his son that it was not what you thought it was, and his son, who's about the age of my kid now, is not buying all the BS. And he says, do you think mom will buy it? It was one of the classic lines. Well, that's my question with regard to what we're seeing with all of this right now. It doesn't make any sense. Let me tell you what I think. It's almost like there were intentional holes created in this. Because if I'm a judge and the SEC comes to me and they're trying to go after Ripple after 8 years and after the SEC, are you telling me that Coinbase did not go to the SEC and make sure it was okay to list XRP? Are you telling me that judge is not gonna, you come to me if I'm that judge and I'm gonna say, wait a minute, SEC. You're going to come, you have the gall to come to me after 8 years and you have be set in motion all of this, and you have let Coinbase list this, and you've let Binance US list it, and you've let all these other exchanges, Kraken and all of them list this digital asset that was called a currency by FinCEN in 2015. And now you want to bring a suit and crush all of these XRP holders. You want to wreak all this havoc because you didn't do your job? That's what I say if I'm a judge. But on top of that, let me tell you why else it doesn't make sense. This was sent to me by RDXRP. Listen to this. This is a clip. It's from a YouTube thing called Who Makes Money from Professional Poker. This is a company called YouStake. And listen to how they describe when the SEC came after them and what the result was.
We've got well over 14,000 users on our system today. We've been growing that about 4x year over year. Our revenue has been going up. We've been pretty much doubling almost every year.
Staking may not have been new for the poker community, but it was for the mainstream. And with any new concept, problems.
I just realized they got
Not
music
long
in this
after
thing.
I became general counsel to YouStake.
They're going to try to.
And we were taking care to sort of button up all of its
I'm going to
affairs
talk a little bit
and make sure everything was squeaky clean in case prying eyes ever looked at its books. We discovered that prying eyes were in fact going to be looking at its books. YouStake received a subpoena from the United States Securities and Exchange Commission, which had launched an investigation into its activities.
It was an investigation by the SEC into YouStake and the business.
And the SEC was basically looking into whether or not YouStake was involved in the purchase and sale of securities, because people are buying pieces of poker players, and those poker players are going to go make or lose money for their backer based on what happens in a game.
Up to that point, we had gotten quite a bit of press, so I don't know if that's what drew their attention to it.
YouStake was ready for this scrutiny because it was a squeaky clean operation that was doing everything above board. So the first thing we did was assess the scope of the subpoena, produce documents, and every time the SEC said jump, we said how high. We turned over, I believe, tens of thousands of pages of documents.
Long story short, it took forever. So then we finally said, you know what? There's a couple outcomes that come from this. So let us put an application in to FINRA, and FINRA being the licensing arm, basically, of the SEC. So we put an application in for a crowdfunding license.
And I get a phone call from FINRA a couple weeks later saying, please withdraw your application. And my jaw sort of hits the ground. I don't really know why they do this. And I pressed the guy and I said, why? He said, well, it's not really a security. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, that's strange. So look at the guy from FINRA on the phone. I say, hold on one second. Call my associate, tell her to come into the room. And I say, sir, please repeat that. And he says, we don't think it's a security because you can't fill out a balance sheet. And that's true. You're not buying and selling a piece of an entity. A poker player doesn't have a balance sheet. A poker player cannot go on the New York Stock Exchange, right? Like if a poker player had to list his or her assets, we're pretty much talking about kidneys and other vital organs, which I'm fairly confident you can't sell in the United States anyway.
To show good faith, we went dark. The site was still there, people could still post, but we did no overt advertising at all, no social, nothing. We just went quiet.
YouStake wasn't getting answers in a timely fashion and losing money. That's when their attorney made a decision that was unprecedented.
I said, all right, we want to bring an end to this. Let's file a lawsuit against the SEC, seeking a declaratory judgment, which is a judicial decree basically, that staking is not the purchase or sale of a security. And I think this caught a lot of people off guard because it's always the SEC that's going out and suing someone.
We started going through that process, and that's when the SEC came back and said, no, it's okay. We're dropping everything. You're good to go.
And we reached an agreement that we would dismiss the case, so no precedent was made. Investigation's over, and it is the SEC's stated position, as sought in discovery in federal court, that YouStake was not dealing in securities.
Okay, so now, by the way, if this video clip that I just showed, if it's not in this video, when you watch it, go to YouTube. Because there was some music over it. I might get a copyright hit here. Because there's music over it, that might happen. So go type who makes money from professional poker and go to the 17-minute mark if you don't get to see that. But I want to finish my point here and make the point. Here's what you got to believe if you think all of this is some real scary thing. What you've got to believe is that Jay Clayton said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We've watched this. We know that they've got a FinCEN. They settled this thing with FinCEN in 2015. And now what we have to believe is we've got to believe that Jay Clayton said, okay, so what I'm going to do is as I leave, I'm going to file a suit just because I have some personal problem with these guys. I'm going to file a lawsuit from the SEC against Ripple. And they know these people aren't stupid. They know that they've also let all these exchanges have XRP. So they know they're opening Pandora's box, not just for Ripple, but the entire industry. So now they've opened all these exchanges up to lawsuits when they're the ones that came out, that allowed them to add XRP in the first place. We know it in the case of Coinbase. Coinbase checks all the boxes, okay? So what we're supposed to believe is that they willingly did that, knowing that then it opens the SEC itself up to all of these lawsuits from the Coinbases of the world, the people who owned XRP. So we're supposed to believe that they knew that people would then sue them. My point is that what it appears like to me, this stinks. This looks like, yes, it looks like an SEC that it has intentionally waited 8 years and has intentionally put themselves in the position of filing a lawsuit that any judge that looks at it is going to say, why are you people coming to us now with this? Why have you're responsible for letting Ripple do this openly. It's not like they were hiding it. You're responsible for letting them do this for 8 years. You're responsible for letting these exchanges sell it. Who do you think you are coming to us with? That's how I react if I'm the judge. Any common sense person would. How would you not? This is why this stinks to me. That stuff right there sums it up really well. Jonathan D. And out of nowhere, we got Judy Shelton saying, meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., executive calendar. And then she's highlighting this Federal Reserve System, Judy Shelton of California, to be a member of the Board of Governors. So apparently they are not done with Judy Shelton yet. And then I wanted to point this out. Bittrex Global is different from Bittrex. Bittrex is in the United States, and it is stopping XRP. So this illustrates an important point. XRP is global, just like Ripple is global. You can shut down U.S. exchanges, but it's still happening around the world. Please note that Bittrex Global has no plans to delist XRP and will maintain all XRP markets. And so you can see the issue. There's a lot of issues going on here. But why would you kill the golden goose? And when I say the golden goose, I'm not just talking about Ripple. I'm also talking about Coinbase. Why would you do it? I don't think you would, unless this is all part of a bigger plan, because these aren't just tiny little companies. This is a global thing. Digital assets are something that's going to change the globe. This is not just a company. It's not just Coinbase, not just Ripple, it's not just XRP in the United States. It's global. And it doesn't make any sense what we're seeing right now. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that I think there's a lot more going on than we can see. Thank you for listening.
Every day, billions of people around the world are mocked, ridiculed, laughed at, and embarrassed by their friends, family, and even strangers. These people go through their days knowing there are secrets being kept from them. They hear the faint whispers behind closed doors. The information and knowledge is held very close and only shared with others who were fortunate enough to find out. Feeling lost, rejected, and ostracized, these people give up, never finding out what digital assets the digital asset investor holds. But there is hope. Join the free Digital Asset Investor email newsletter and find out what digital assets he owns each month, including investments he's considering. Click the link in the description of this video or go to digitalassetinvestornewsletter.com. Put an end to your days of gloom and depression. Join the greatest free digital asset email newsletter ever created.